The loneliness you feel is heavier than most people will ever understand. It is not simply the absence of people, it is the weight of carrying your thoughts alone. It is the silence after giving your best and receiving little in return. It is the feeling of sitting in a crowded room and still sensing that nobody truly sees the battles you fight inside. It is waking up with responsibilities, memories, disappointments, and hopes that have nowhere to go except deeper into your own heart. There were seasons when you expected life to look different by now. You expected certain people to stay. You expected certain prayers to be answered sooner. You expected some of the sacrifices you made to produce clearer results. Instead, you found yourself walking through stretches of life that felt strangely quiet. While others seemed surrounded by support, celebration, and recognition, you often felt overlooked. While others appeared to move forward with certainty, you were learning how to keep taking one step at a time without knowing exactly where the road was leading. Yet there is something important that needs to be remembered during moments like these. Not every season of loneliness is evidence that something is wrong with you. Not every period of isolation means you have been forgotten. Some of the most important growth in your life has happened in places where nobody applauded you. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. The strength you carry today was not created during easy days. It was created during nights when you had to comfort yourself. It was created during disappointments that forced you to discover resilience you never knew existed. It was created during moments when giving up seemed easier than continuing. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. There were times when your heart was tired, times when you questioned your value, times when rejection made you wonder if you truly belonged anywhere, yet somehow you continued moving forward, perhaps more slowly than before, perhaps carrying wounds nobody could see, but you continued. That matters. It matters more than you know. Many people only recognize visible success. They celebrate accomplishments, titles, achievements, and milestones. What they often fail to see is the invisible work that came before them. They do not see the tears. They do not see the disappointments. They do not see the lonely hours spent rebuilding faith after another setback. They do not see the courage required simply to get up and try again. God saw those moments. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw every silent prayer spoken when words barely came out. God saw every time you chose kindness, even when life had not been kind to you. God saw every effort you made to keep your heart soft when bitterness would have been easier. Those moments mattered. Those moments were never wasted. The loneliness you feel today may not be the end of your story. It may be the space where something valuable is being developed within you. A seed does not grow in front of an audience. It grows beneath the surface, hidden, unseen, quiet. For a long time it appears as though nothing is happening, yet beneath the ground roots are forming, strength is forming, stability is forming, preparation is taking place. Many people become discouraged because they judge their progress only by what they can immediately see. They assume that if visible results have not appeared yet, then nothing meaningful is happening. Life does not work that way. Some of the most important transformations happen long before anyone notices them. The patience you learned during difficult years matters. The wisdom you gained through disappointment matters. The compassion you developed through pain matters. The resilience built through struggle matters. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. There is a quiet strength within you that came from surviving seasons that could have broken you. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. You continued showing up while managing fears that nobody fully understood. You smiled during days when your heart felt heavy. You encouraged others while trying to hold yourself together. You gave more than people realized. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. Yet despite everything, something beautiful remained alive inside you. Hope remained. Faith remained. The desire to keep believing remained. Even if that belief became smaller at times, it never completely disappeared. That is significant. Many people underestimate the power of simply refusing to quit. They think strength always looks dramatic. Sometimes strength looks like getting through another day. Sometimes strength looks like choosing faith when certainty is unavailable. Sometimes strength looks like trusting that your value remains intact even when recognition does not arrive. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. The opinions of others never had the authority to define your destiny. The rejection you experienced never had the power to erase your value. The loneliness you feel never changed the truth about who you are. Human beings often look for validation from people because they naturally want connection. There is nothing wrong with that desire. Yet some of the deepest healing begins when you realize your worth existed before anyone recognized it. Your value was never dependent on applause. Your significance was never dependent on popularity. Your purpose was never dependent on being understood by everyone around you. Some people failed to see your heart. Some people misunderstood your intentions. Some people left when you needed them most. Those experiences hurt. They leave marks. They create questions. But they do not determine your future. Not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every tear was meaningless. Not every delay was evidence of defeat. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Looking back, you may already recognize moments that once felt unbearable, but later revealed hidden lessons. At the time, you only saw pain. Later, you discovered wisdom. At the time, you only saw loss. Later, you discovered strength. At the time, you only saw loneliness. Later, you discovered deeper understanding. Life often reveals its meaning gradually. The purpose behind certain seasons becomes visible only after walking through them. This is why it is important not to judge your entire story by your current chapter. There is still more ahead. There are still experiences waiting to unfold. There are still relationships waiting to be formed. There are still opportunities waiting to emerge. There are still blessings that have not arrived yet. The loneliness of today does not have permission to write the conclusion of your story. It is only one part of a much larger journey. During lonely seasons, people sometimes believe they have been abandoned. Yet there is another possibility. Perhaps this season has been creating space to heal, space to grow, space to rediscover who you are beneath expectations, disappointments, and distractions. Space to hear truths that become difficult to hear when life is crowded with noise. Sometimes purpose grows best in places where constant approval is absent. Sometimes character grows strongest in places where recognition is limited. Sometimes faith grows deepest in places where immediate answers are unavailable. The very space that feels empty may actually be preparing you for something meaningful. It may be teaching you how to stand firmly on your own foundation. It may be teaching you how to recognize your own worth. It may be teaching you how to trust God's timing when your own timing feels uncertain. It may be strengthening parts of you that could not have grown any other way. One day you may look back and realize that the lonely season was not merely something you survived. It was something that shaped you. It refined your perspective. It deepened your compassion. It strengthened your faith. It revealed capabilities you did not know you possessed. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward, even on your darkest days. That strength is still there. It has not disappeared. It remains present even when you feel tired. It remains present even when answers feel distant. It remains present even when the road ahead seems unclear. You have already survived days that once seemed impossible. You have already overcome moments that felt overwhelming. You have already demonstrated resilience that deserves recognition. Even if nobody else fully understands your journey, your perseverance matters, your endurance matters, your faith matters, your kindness matters, your story matters. The loneliness you feel today is not proof that you are forgotten. It may be the very space where your purpose is quietly taking root, growing stronger beneath the surface, preparing for a future that has not fully revealed itself yet. If these words brought comfort to your heart and reminded you that your journey still holds meaning, subscribe to the channel and continue walking alongside a community that believes in faith, healing, purpose, and hope. Sometimes the encouragement we need arrives through shared reminders that we are not alone and that every season can still lead us towards something beautiful. There comes a point in every long season of loneliness when exhaustion begins to whisper dangerous things to the heart. It whispers that nothing will change. It whispers that the best days are already behind you. It whispers that the people who overlooked you were correct in doing so. It whispers that your efforts have gone unnoticed because they never mattered in the first place. Those whispers can become convincing when they are repeated often enough. They can settle into the mind after years of disappointment. They can grow louder after another unanswered prayer, another relationship that did not last, another opportunity that slipped away, another night spent wondering why life feels heavier for you than it seems to feel for everyone else. Yet the whispers of discouragement are not the voice of truth. They are the voice of pain trying to explain a story that is still being written. Pain is real, but pain is not always accurate. Loneliness is real, but loneliness does not always tell the whole story. Many people assume that because they feel forgotten, they have been forgotten. Because they feel unseen, they are unseen. Because they feel alone, they are alone. Feelings are powerful, but they are not always complete. There is often more happening beneath the surface than your current emotions can perceive. Think about all the moments in your life that made sense only after time passed. Think about the doors that closed and later protected you from paths that would have harmed you. Think about the disappointments that eventually redirected you towards something better. Think about the delays that taught patience, the failures that taught wisdom, and the losses that revealed hidden strengths. At the time, none of those experiences felt valuable. They felt painful. They felt unfair. They felt confusing. Yet, years later, many of them revealed lessons you could not have learned any other way. The same may be true about the loneliness you carry today. What if this season is doing more than making you wait? What if it is making you ready? There is a difference. Waiting feels passive. Preparation is active. Waiting feels empty. Preparation is purposeful. Waiting feels like life is standing still. Preparation means something important is taking shape beneath the surface. Many of the strongest people you admire did not become strong because life was easy. They became strong because life required them to develop endurance. They became compassionate because they knew suffering. They became wise because they made mistakes. They became resilient because they survived seasons they never expected to face. The qualities that make a life meaningful are often formed in hidden places. The world celebrates visible success, but character is usually built in private. Integrity is built in private. Patience is built in private. Faith is built in private. Courage is built in private. The loneliness you feel may be one of those private places where something lasting is being developed within you. You may not see the full results yet, but that does not mean the process lacks value. Some of the greatest victories in life begin long before anyone recognizes them. Consider the strength it took for you to reach this point. Consider everything you have carried. There were losses that changed you. There were disappointments that shook your confidence. There were seasons when your future felt uncertain. There were moments when nobody seemed to understand what you were going through. Yet here you are, breathing, hoping, continuing, trying again. That alone deserves more respect than you probably give yourself. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Many people see only where they have not arrived yet. They focus on what is missing. They focus on what they lost. They focus on what did not happen. Rarely do they stop and acknowledge how far they have already come. You have survived days that once seemed impossible. You have carried emotional burdens that would have crushed some people. You have recovered from setbacks that felt permanent. You have adapted to changes you never wanted. You have learned to keep moving forward while carrying wounds that were invisible to almost everyone around you. That is not weakness. That is strength. Quiet strength. The kind of strength that rarely receives applause but changes lives nonetheless. One of the hardest truths about loneliness is that it often convinces people they are less valuable than they truly are. When invitations stop coming, when messages become less frequent, when relationships fade, when support feels scarce, it becomes easy to wonder whether something is wrong with you. It becomes easy to believe that if you were more interesting, more successful, more attractive, more accomplished, or more impressive, people would stay. Yet worth has never been measured by how many people choose to remain close to you. Some incredibly valuable people have walked through incredibly lonely seasons. Some deeply gifted people have spent years feeling misunderstood. Some of the kindest souls have experienced profound rejection. Human recognition has always been an unreliable measurement of human value. Your worth existed before anyone noticed it. Your worth remains even when others fail to appreciate it. Your worth does not increase when people praise you, and it does not decrease when people overlook you. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. There may be people who never understood your heart. There may be people who misunderstood your intentions. There may be people who walked away without recognizing the gift of your presence. That says more about their limitations than it does about your value. Not everyone has the ability to recognize what is precious. Not everyone has the wisdom to appreciate what is genuine. Not everyone can see the quiet beauty in a person who remains kind despite being hurt. Yet God sees it. God sees the sacrifices. God sees the patience. God sees the tears. God sees the perseverance. God sees the battles nobody else knows about. God saw every moment you almost gave up but kept going. God saw every time you chose forgiveness instead of resentment. God saw every act of kindness that was never repaid. God saw every silent victory that happened behind closed doors. None of those moments were invisible to him. None of them were wasted. One of the reasons loneliness feels so painful is because it often strips away distractions. It removes the noise, it removes constant activity, it leaves you face to face with yourself. At first, that can feel uncomfortable. It can expose fears, insecurities, regrets, and unanswered questions. Yet over time, it can also become a place of healing. It can become a place where old wounds begin to close. It can become a place where you rediscover parts of yourself that were buried beneath years of responsibility and pressure. It can become a place where your identity becomes rooted in something deeper than approval. There is tremendous freedom in reaching a point where your sense of worth no longer depends entirely on the opinions of others. That freedom is not built overnight. It is built through experience. It is built through loss. It is built through growth. It is built through the difficult process of learning that your value remains constant, even when circumstances change. The loneliness you feel may be helping you develop that foundation. A foundation strong enough to support the future God is preparing for you. A foundation strong enough to endure future challenges without collapsing. A foundation strong enough to carry blessings without losing perspective. Your story is not finished. There are still chapters ahead that you cannot see yet. There are still moments of joy that have not arrived. There are still meaningful connections that have not been formed. There are still opportunities waiting beyond the horizon of your current understanding. Hope is difficult when life feels uncertain, but hope is often what carries people through seasons they do not yet understand. Hope reminds you that today's reality is not tomorrow's certainty. Hope reminds you that difficult chapters are not final chapters. Hope reminds you that growth continues even when progress feels slow. Hope reminds you that purpose often develops quietly before it becomes visible. The loneliness you feel today may be temporary, even if it has lasted longer than you expected. The lessons you are learning, however, may stay with you forever. The wisdom being formed within you may guide you for decades. The compassion being developed through your struggles may become a blessing to countless people. The resilience you are building now may help you navigate future challenges with greater confidence. Nothing meaningful is being wasted. Not your patience, not your faith, not your tears, not your endurance, not your story. Every season has contributed something valuable to the person you are becoming. Every challenge has strengthened something within you. Every setback has taught something important. Every lonely moment has been adding depth to your understanding of yourself, others, and life itself. One day, you may look back and realize that what felt like emptiness was actually preparation. What felt like abandonment was actually growth. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like loneliness was actually the place where your purpose quietly grew roots, deep enough to support everything that was still to come. If this message encouraged you and reminded you that your struggles still hold meaning, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving words that strengthen faith, resilience, healing, and hope. May each message remind you that your journey matters, your growth matters, and that even in lonely seasons you are never without purpose. One day, perhaps sooner than you imagine, you will look back on this season from a different perspective. You will remember the quiet evenings, the unanswered questions, the moments when your heart felt heavy for reasons you could barely explain. You will remember the days when loneliness seemed to stretch endlessly before you. You will remember wondering whether anyone truly understood what you were carrying. Yet when that future moment arrives, you may also see something that is difficult to recognize right now. You may see that the season you once viewed as empty was actually full. Not full of the things you wanted, perhaps, but full of growth, wisdom, strength, and preparation. Life has a way of revealing meaning gradually. Some lessons can only be understood after enough time has passed. Some blessings can only be appreciated after seasons of waiting. Some forms of growth are so subtle that they remain invisible until they have already transformed you. Think about the person you were years ago. Think about how you responded to disappointment, uncertainty, rejection, and loss. Then think about the person you are now. Even if you still struggle, you are not the same person. You have learned things that pain taught you. You have gained wisdom that comfort could never provide. You have developed resilience that only hardship could create. The challenges that once overwhelmed you may still hurt, but they no longer define you the way they once did. That is growth. Quiet growth. Hidden growth. The kind of growth that often goes unnoticed until someone pauses long enough to reflect. The loneliness you have experienced has likely changed you in ways you do not fully recognize yet. It has taught you to listen more deeply. It has taught you to value genuine connection rather than superficial attention. It has taught you to appreciate sincerity. It has taught you to recognize the difference between people who merely appear during good times and people who remain present during difficult seasons. Loneliness has a painful way of revealing what is real. It strips away illusions. It exposes shallow foundations. It teaches lessons about life that cannot be learned through comfort alone. None of this means the pain was easy. None of this means the tears were unnecessary. None of this means the struggle should be minimized. Your pain was real. Your disappointment was real. Your heartbreak was real. The nights when you felt forgotten were real. The moments when you questioned your future were real. The seasons when your faith felt tired were real. Yet alongside those realities, another reality was quietly unfolding. You were becoming stronger. You were becoming wiser. You were becoming more resilient. You were becoming more compassionate. You were becoming someone capable of understanding suffering without allowing suffering to destroy your ability to love. That is a remarkable achievement. Many people allow pain to harden them. Many people allow disappointment to make them cynical. Many people allow rejection to convince them that kindness is weakness. Yet despite everything you have faced, some part of your heart has continued choosing hope. Some part of your spirit has continued believing there is more ahead. Some part of you has continued looking for light even when darkness felt overwhelming. That matters more than you know. Your kindness matters. Your patience matters. Your faith matters. Your willingness to keep going matters. There are people who will someday benefit from lessons you learned during seasons you never wanted to experience. There are conversations you will have that will bring comfort because you understand pain firsthand. There are moments when your story will become a source of encouragement for someone who feels alone. There are ways your struggles will create opportunities to help others heal. The wounds you survived may eventually become places of wisdom rather than places of pain. That transformation does not happen overnight, but it happens. Time has a way of changing scars into reminders of survival. One of the most beautiful truths about life is that difficult seasons do not last forever. They can feel endless while you are living through them. They can feel permanent. They can feel as though nothing will ever change. Yet, life continues moving. Circumstances evolve. Doors open. Relationships develop. Opportunities emerge. Healing progresses. New chapters begin. The loneliness that seems overwhelming today is not necessarily the loneliness you will carry forever. There may be friendships ahead that bring genuine understanding. There may be conversations ahead that restore hope. There may be moments ahead when you finally realize that the season you thought would never end was quietly leading you somewhere meaningful all along. Sometimes God works in ways that are difficult to recognize while they are happening. Sometimes the answers arrive gradually. Sometimes the path becomes clear only after several confusing turns. Sometimes the purpose behind a season remains hidden until the season has ended. Yet that does not mean purpose is absent. It simply means purpose is unfolding at a pace you cannot fully see. God has not forgotten you. He has not overlooked your tears. He has not ignored your prayers. He has not lost sight of your future. Even during moments when heaven seemed silent, He remained aware of every burden you carried, every disappointment, every fear, every lonely night, every private struggle, every silent victory. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. He saw the courage it took to continue. He saw the faith required to keep believing. He saw the strength it took to rise again after another setback. None of it escaped His attention. Sometimes people assume that purpose must involve something dramatic. They imagine purpose as a single grand achievement or extraordinary accomplishment. Yet purpose often appears in smaller ways. Purpose can be found in encouraging someone who is hurting. Purpose can be found in remaining kind when life gives you reasons to become bitter. Purpose can be found in living with integrity when nobody is watching. Purpose can be found in showing compassion because you understand suffering. Purpose can be found in becoming the person your struggles prepared you to become. The loneliness you experienced may have been creating space for exactly that kind of growth. It may have been teaching lessons that will shape the rest of your life. It may have been strengthening parts of your character that will support future blessings. It may have been deepening your understanding of what truly matters. Not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every setback was meaningless. Not every delay was wasted. The years that challenged you also developed you. The hardships that tested you also strengthened you. The losses that hurt you also taught you. The loneliness that burdened you also shaped you. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward even on your darkest days. That strength remains part of you now. It is present in every lesson learned. It is present in every obstacle overcome. It is present in every step you continue to take. You may not always feel strong, but your survival tells a powerful story. Your perseverance tells a powerful story. Your willingness to continue tells a powerful story. The fact that you are still here, still hoping, still believing, still trying, is evidence of a strength that many people underestimate. As you move forward, remember this. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. Your worth is not determined by the recognition of others. Your future is not limited by your current circumstances. Your loneliness does not define your destiny. The difficult seasons of your life are chapters, not conclusions. There is still more ahead. More healing, more growth, more understanding, more peace, more opportunities to experience joy, more reasons to believe that your journey mattered, more evidence that your struggles were not meaningless, more reminders that God was present even when you felt alone. The loneliness you feel is not the end of your story. It is the space where your purpose grew stronger, deeper, and more prepared for the future that still awaits you. If these messages have helped you feel seen, understood, and encouraged during your journey, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving reminders that strengthen faith, healing, purpose, and inner resilience. May each message serve as a companion during difficult seasons and a reminder that your life carries value, meaning, and hope.